Hello all, and welcome back to another episode of King's Chaos. I'm your host, Cop Epzone, aka the Kyng-Pin parentheses of Spades. This is King's Chaos Season 2, Episode 2, but in the grand total of things, Episode 27. I don't know how I'm going to number these things yet, but I have a guest here, Shaina Gonzales, and we're going to be talking about superpowers. Shaina, how are you doing today?
Hey, so good to be here again. I might be a little out of breath.
No, you're good.
I was power walking uphill, but
yeah, it's a hilly area.
it's a good way to wake up to the day.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I was walking up from Russ Hall this morning for the morning show, and I had a guitar and an amp with me. So yeah, it's wasn't easy to say the least.
It's like carrying an extra weight.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about today. We've got superpowers to talk about, and oh boy, am I excited for this one. This has been an idea I had since the first season of the show, and I just never had it fleshed out enough to do. But with that being said, the one thing I wanted to start off with in this show is talking about the top 5 superpowers that you would want. So I'm going to let you go first and present your top 5 and explain why you would want them.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about this too. And the way that I tried to rank it in my head, like I tried thinking of it for myself. Like if I woke up randomly with these superpowers, how beneficial it would be for me. I tried to avoid the ones that were had too many horrifying implications.
Right.
Because totally. I made a whole other section for that. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, I would hate having these powers. I think I would literally like explode and die. So yeah, I think the first one definitely that came to my mind was teleportation. Like just the idea of being able to think of where you want to go and boop, you're there.
Definitely.
Like that's great. Like I used to live in New York City and there were so many times where I wished that I could just teleport to where I needed to go because, you know, public transport can be a real drag.
Right. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I've been to the city a few times. Like I've been there twice on my own. And it was a nightmare trying to find around because I've went with my parents a few times, but I never really paid attention to what buses I was supposed to take. So I had to.
Oh, that's your first mistake.
Yeah, no, totally. And so I had to travel to the city for a few classes back in my freshman year. And thank goodness I had somebody in the class that I spoke to that knew the way around because I didn't.
Oh, yeah. It's like getting lost in a concrete jungle in New York City.
Like the streets itself, we're getting off tangent, but that's the point of the show. But the streets itself, they're a grid format. They're not that hard, but like finding transportation out is not easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just like it's one way to go in, it's another way to get out. Right,
exactly. So yeah, teleportation would definitely be a good one to have.
Yep. I think for the second one, I guess I would just label it as one thing because you see it a lot, but like telekinesis and telepathy.
Right. Okay.
Like the whole psychic power.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea of just being some type of like Jedi or like a mind wizard.
Totally.
Like just being able to look at something and make it happen with your mind. That's also pretty useful to me.
Right. Yeah. That's understandable. I could see that one. Like moving, like, yeah, I believe actually telekinesis is one of the ones I wanted to. Like that's always been like my favorite one out of all of them. So yeah, definitely agree with you on that one.
Also fun pranks, like just to whisper into somebody's mind. Like
totally.
Yeah. Just good pranks all around.
Yeah, that one has a lot of good implications to it.
As for my third one, I guess it's like kind of stepping over the superhero genre boundary or a little bit, but the superhero genre is already kind of crazy.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm thinking like magic, like just being a straight up wizard or a witch. Like I just like the concept of magic because of how broad it is and how it seems like you can do whatever you want.
Very true.
I guess it might overlap with telekinesis and telepathy, but I think the difference with magic is that it just feels like there's a more mystical feel to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are some superheroes who have magic powers. Doctor Strange comes to mind, number one.
Oh yeah, Raven, Teen Titans.
Yes. Oh.
Then again, she's a literal demon, so
yeah, I mean, semantics, but like still magic based in powers wise. So yeah, I would give that point to you. I would say that counts as a superpower.
Yeah. The fourth one, I hope these things are overlapping too much, but I also like the idea of illusion powers.
Okay.
Like, I guess either being able to make something appear like, but then, it's fake, obviously.
Right.
But, making, putting a whole other meaning to like smokes and mirrors.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's like a Green Lantern. Well, actually, Green Lantern summons the actual object.
Right. Yeah. That object has like the physical properties of like whatever it is. So I'd say it's more of a Mysterio kind of thing.
Yeah.
What you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Which
illusionary.
which would be pretty cool. Like, I mean, the way and once again, to get off topic, I think the way that Far From Home handled Mysterio was actually a very cool way of doing it, because
I remember
it totally disregarded the magic thing and went totally like, yeah, this is just a bunch of Hollywood hoo-ha.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty cool, because I think I have to like it because I'm an animator. So like I'm contractually obligated to like anything effects wise, unless it's bad.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so definitely illusions would, I mean, like there is some overlap to what you're saying, but each one has its own specific kind of
like implication.
Yeah,
power
implications,
set.
Power set. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would count all three of those as separate things.
Yeah. And I guess for the fifth and final one, was since you mentioned Doctor Strange, I was thinking of like, because I think he does like interdimensional travel in the comics sometimes. I like the idea of just like jumping from one world to another, or like maybe jumping into dreams. They call it the astral plane.
Right. Yes.
Like maybe I won't necessarily need to have superpowers per se, but I just like the idea of like traveling through these worlds, jumping in and out.
Yeah.
That's also very appealing to me.
Yeah, I've seen that in some media too. It's pretty like that's something. Well, I mean, like the astral plane is one thing, but like there would have to be, for me at least, there would have to be some kind of evidence of actual other inhabitable worlds before I start dimension hopping.
True.
Because I don't want to get stranded on like Saturn and with no way home.
Oh yeah, I guess when I think of dimensional hopping, I think of like separate planes of existence, or maybe like alternate universes. Like this is
like multiverse, you're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is different from time traveling. Time traveling falls under my horrifying superpowers. I would hate to have something like that.
Yeah, that falls under my confusing. I can never understand. As much as I love time travel, I can never wrap my head around it.
Oh yeah. You really have to suspend too much disbelief.
Way too much disbelief.
Or else you're gonna be like, well, what's this? So many plot holes. But that's
wouldn't this mean this and that and then this, that, and the other thing? Yeah, so time travel is probably could be an episode of this show all on its own.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Like maybe I should tell you after so that you don't get to spoil it on air.
That's fair. But yeah, totally. So those are your top 5.
Yes.
So teleportation, telekinesis / telepathy, magic, illusions, and dimension hopping. Pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
So a lot of No, I mean, I was going to say a lot of travel-based ones, but only like 2 of them really. So, but still, like, there seems to be an overarching theme within the ones you want the most.
It's probably because I play D&D, so like,
nice.
My brain is kind of like on the magic side,
right?
Like, as much as I don't want to say that I dislike sci-fi, but like, there's a hesitation around it.
Right.
But when it comes to the superhero genre, I feel like that's when all of it overlaps.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Like really fool around and go buck wild,
Totally. That is a good point. Like there is a lot of overlap between superhero and a lot of other genres.
Mm-hmm.
And like you see that in some of the superhero mediums, like Doctor Strange is the more magical side. Guardians of the Galaxy has that more sci-fi theme to it. So, and I know I'm naming just Marvel off the top of my head, but like
Star Wars is just space wizards.
Yes,
they're literally just wizards in space.
Yes, that is a very good point. And technically, yeah, that could count as the Force and stuff could count as a superpower. It's essentially telekinesis.
Yeah, exactly.
And telepathy too, because the whole Jedi mind tricks thing.
Jedi can do anything. I just accepted it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a certain point where you got to be like, okay, there's no way this is what Lucas meant. when he initially started.
You'd be surprised how much they really push it in the canon.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, don't make it convoluted. Just say it's just the Force.
Right.
Like
exactly.
It's literally just the Force. They're using their space magic.
Totally. And so I guess that means it's my turn to share my top 5.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So mine aren't in any order. I just kind of wrote down the 5 that I've always wanted. So number 1 is this thing I call the ability of change. And it's kind of a cheat superpower. It's the ability to apply change in any sense where it's applicable, however literal or figurative it is. So some examples I have here are changing atomic structure, which is just shape-shifting, changing the colors of things, changing the genetic structure would be shape-shifting, changing the atomic structure of like objects and stuff, changing locations, and simple things as much as changing clothes. So it's like an all-encompassing power that I want to say that I came up with this only because I've never seen something as generalized as this before. So I'm kind of taking it as my own. If somebody did it before me, I apologize. You deserve full credit. Next, and probably one of the more horrifying ones, or at least most useless in everyday life, is pyromancy and the ability to control fire. Not much use in your modern day life, unless maybe you're camping or something.
Or you're an arsonist.
That too, which is less of a superhero thing and more of a supervillain thing. So, I just always thought it was cool. Like that or controlling any other element, I think would be cool.
Oh yeah, elemental magic, or not magic, power.
Yeah.
I keep on thinking of a fantasy, but yeah, elemental powers are pretty cool because there's like a theme. I like the whole thematics.
Yeah.
But if I were to have it myself, I'd be like, I don't know, a normal human being able to control all that.
Right.
That's kind of horrifying.
Yeah, a little bit. So I guess I'll broaden pyromancy to like elemental control instead. More so like fire, air, water, and earth. I always mix that one up, but yeah.
I just think of Earth, Wind, and Fire. The
band. Yes, the 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and September.
Heck yeah. Power of groove.
Exactly. All right. Number 3 in this list that is not in any correct order is, like you said, telekinesis. Always has been one of my favorite ones since a child. Moving things with your mind. Maybe I'm a little lazy and don't like getting up, but that's definitely just a big one for me. Number 4, duplication. And this is one that's come to my head recently because I want to do way too much with my life and there's not enough time to do it. And I think duplication has less horrifying implications than like being able to stop time itself. So, I mean, it depends on how sentient copies of yourself get. Because My Hero, the anime and the manga, actually explored something like this. Like duplicating yourself to an extent can have bad complications. So
yeah, when I think of duplication, I'm thinking of Invincible's take on it.
Yes,
and that's horrifying to me. Like to me, that girl, I forgot her name, but
I believe it's literally, or her superhero
Duplicate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, her name's Kate. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was horrifying to me because she can multiply herself but endlessly, but like you can kill her other copies. It doesn't disappear in a poof like you would see on a kid
it's like
show.
a physical, it's
you see like her blood and stuff, and the way I interpret it, it's like a hive mind, so she feels all of it, and like I don't know, that ain't it for me, Chief.
Fair enough. Duplication does have some horrifying implications that I did not think of.
Yeah, I tend to overthink these things, so I'm like
no, which is good because like if you were given the option to like choose any power you want, you got to think it through.
Oh yeah,
it's not a decision you can make lightly.
Exactly.
And the final one I'll leave off with is probably higher on the list than I have it listed, but is muscle mimicry. In other words, being able to learn anything just by seeing it.
Oh god, that's a good one.
Yeah. I saw that. So I've only seen this in a CBS show. I believe it's CBS, called Heroes. And I always say this whenever I get a chance to talk about it, but like the first season was the best. And then seasons 2, 3, and 4 went all wonky, as most TV shows often do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And so with that being said, like the character had a excuse me, was like didn't know about this, kind of just was good at learning everything. And her whole story was like she was given an iPod by like some government agency because like it was Heroes is like modern everyday people with superpowers and they just don't know what to do with them.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And so I forget who it was. It's been a while since I watched the show, but like the government or something gave her an iPod of literally just like everything from plumbing to martial arts to musical instruments, stuff like that. And my only thing is like she was a very minor character, so she didn't have too much play in the plot and stuff. But I still think it was one of the coolest powers ever that I've seen.
Was she able to like control the technology or something?
No, actually, I believe she had a brother. Like her character had a brother who was able to like talk to machines and stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's like, I don't know the word for it, but it's like telekinesis or telepathy. Like, you know how like some versions of the power, the person can communicate with plants and animals. Yeah. But with him, it's like communicating with machines. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I
actually like that.
There are like, you can break them down into scientific terms. Like, I forget which part of telepathy means what. One of them means like of the mind, and the other one means like
kinesis means to move. Yeah, because I'm thinking of kinetic energy. Then telepathy is like communication.
So tele must be the, or no,
like pathy, and then kinesis. I'm trying to remember my Latin root words.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I forget again, but like it would probably be like telemachinery or something like that. Ooh. Which I always thought was another cool one, but not as cool as this muscle mimicry. I don't know if that was the actual name given to it. That's what I assigned it as. Mm-hmm. So it could have gone under a different name in the show, but like that's what made sense to me. That's how I always called it.
No, that's a solid superpower either way.
Totally. And speaking of like what I said, that was probably the coolest superpower I've seen. What other cool or an extension of that dumb superpowers have you seen in media? Because I've got a few of both.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of dumb superpowers, honestly. Okay. Well, I guess the first one, I just thought it was amusing to list down because like it's not like a superhero thing per se. It's like a human superpower. Right. And that would be our ability to jump. Like I think about it, I'm like, how many situations are we given to jump? Like it's kind of like one of those funny things where it's like an option, but it's not used a lot of the times. Like it's like the equivalent of being given like some gadget and you're like, yeah, it does this very specific thing where you won't need a lot of situations for that specific thing, but it sure does exist. So that's very what I think. Okay. For like jumping, I'm like, when was the last time I jumped? Like,
yeah, jumping doesn't have many uses to it on its own, I would say. So yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that one. Jumping as a superpower is less than ideal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too mundane. I guess you could say like Mario has the power of super jumping. It's fun to play in the video game, but I don't pay attention to that as much as him being able to throw fireballs and stuff.
Yeah, I think a better thing rather than just super jumping would be double jumping. That would be probably
like cool jumping midair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, have you seen those videos where like the people are jumping on, like they have this like small bowl of water and they're jumping on the water?
Oh, no, I've never seen that before.
So so most of these videos are in slow motion, so I don't know how they look in real time, but essentially there's these people who have like a stool and then a small-ish container of water filled to the brim on top of the stool. They jump up over the stool onto the bowl of water and then jump again when they land on the water and land on the other side of the stool.
Oh,
it's pretty fascinating.
That sounds like a crazy parkour physics science experiment.
Yeah, exactly. And so like being able to do that, but not having to have water with you all the time, I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Although you would look really weird jumping around everywhere, especially on campus. That would be a little weird.
Yeah. I think for the second dumb superpower, at least the ones that I see depicted in media, there's always that one guy or gal who is able to use a bow and arrow, or like, okay, listen, I don't want to vague post, I don't want to say specific names, but you know, I guess when I watch this superhero media, I'm like trying to turn off my brain and watch something entertaining.
Right, exactly.
But I kind of like every time I see that one guy who can use, oh yeah, I could shoot real good, or like they use a gadget.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I mean, I don't know. You're kind of like in a world where people can do crazy things like flying and like telekinesis and all that jazz. And then you're asking me to be like, yeah, find me interest. I can shoot. So
I see it less as a superpower and just more of like a skill you're really good at.
Yeah. And yeah, so like it's just kind of weird to call somebody like that a superhero.
Right.
Unless they have a very compelling character. Like a compelling character I can think of who doesn't have superpowers and relies on gadgets would be like people like Batman and Robin.
Right.
Like I find their characters super cool, despite the fact that they're normal quote unquote people, but like they have characters, like they're smart, like they got groovy pass, they got a good dynamic. That's why I like them so much. But like for other variations, I'm like, I don't know, I don't really pay attention to you as much.
Right. Yeah. Like I've been watching the CW superhero shows for a while. And like I've watched most of them, but the one I couldn't get into, or at least haven't tried to in a while, was Arrow.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
The Green Arrow who uses a bow. And I don't know if it's because of that, but like, I don't know, I just found more interest in the Flash with super
you
speed.
just triggered a deep memory in me. I remember like trailers for that, and I'm like, oh, who is this guy? Am I supposed to care about this guy? There's so many things for me to check out.
Yeah, that's a thing too, because Green Arrow is not one of the well-known heroes. So to start the CW verse with him was a very interesting choice. Yeah. But he got like 8-9 seasons. So
he did?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I kind of assumed he faded off into obscurity.
No, he had a good run.
My gosh.
And he probably ended him ending was probably better, because I've heard like I'm not completely caught up with a lot of the shows, but I've heard like the quality in a lot of them have gone down. Like the Flash, for one, like started off really good, but became, a lot of people aren't liking the latest seasons, I've heard.
CW shows do tend to be like that.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the first season of The Flash in like 3 days.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. I cannot ultra binge watch like that. I
guess
I can't. Superpower.
No, I can't do that anymore either. There's
so little time in college life.
Yeah, but I've got way too much to do now. And also I watch way more YouTube than TV now. So.
Oh yeah, same here.
Yeah. So jumping and bow and arrows are the 2 dumbest superpowers you've seen.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
And
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, those aren't the greatest. I wouldn't want those if I given the choice.
Oh yeah.
Although I will say I do like archery.
Yeah, archery is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, making that a whole like trait or like your gimmick. It's just like, it's a lot to ask when you're like in this crazy super powered world,
right?
Unless you're like part of like a specialized squad that like, I don't know, does dangerous things, then I'd be like, yeah, you can shoot and you can do backflips and you can use a boomerang, like you know. But I don't know, it's just like a thing where I'm just like, I don't know, you make me entertained, right? Don't just give them a bow and arrow.
Yeah, true. Then there needs to be something more. And like, yeah, so mine aren't too much like that. The 2 ones I have listed here are flight, because a lot of people like flight is like, oh, if you could have one superpower, what would it be? Flight. But like, if you think about it, flight with nothing else, there isn't much to it.
Yeah. And also it falls under that horrifying category for me. Like all I remember about flight is that scene from Incredibles where Edna Mode was like, no capes. And then there's like a
Yes.
flashback to like this poor superhero who gets sucked into a jet engine. And that
Yes.
really stuck with me as a kid. I'm like, wow,
Mm.
I never want to fly again. Well, I can't say again, but like, I
Right.
never want to fly. Like,
Right. And like, there are other horrifying implications. Number one, if you have a fear of heights, you have a useless superpower.
yeah.
Number two, something I never accounted for with flight until like this week was pressure change. Like in an airplane, when you're landing, there's a significant change in pressure that causes your ears to pop. And I assume doing that, not in a big metal tube, would probably cause not more damage, but like would be amplified.
Like your body could be crushed like a soda can.
Exactly.
Like,
it would be the exact same thing about ascending water too fast, ascending from deeper waters. The pressure change would, weigh on you.
yeah. So just like thinking of giving the human body all of a sudden the power of flight. That's why I'm like,
And
no,
nothing
thank
else.
you.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank you. Like, you're just giving me flight, but then I could literally die in other conditions.
Right.
Because I will combust into flames or something.
Yeah, because deeper in the ocean, there's too much pressure, which has the ability to like turn carbon into diamonds, which that's extreme, the crushing of it.
Yes.
And I believe higher up, there's less like oxygen and stuff.
Oh, yeah. You have a harder time breathing. And then imagine coming back down. You're going to become a human fire torch.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah, like if you run out of oxygen that high up and then you faint and start plummeting, you've got a lot of issues you got to deal with in a short amount of time.
Yeah. So no flying for me.
No, flight has never been something I would want. And now more so than ever, I don't want it. The second one I saw, and once again, as a standalone power is pretty useless, is super sight, which is really just seeing very good.
I wish that were me.
I mean,
glasses live.
Oh yeah, I have contacts. My eyesight is horrible.
Oh yeah.
But there's a difference between being able to wake up and see normally, which I do wish for, and then just like being able to see like really good, like slightly further than the average person.
The only way I can think of this particular superpower being like cool is if not only that they could see good, but like they can see so good they could see past dimensions,
right,
and into the future and all that crazy jazz. Yeah. Like that'd actually be a cool premise. Like somebody who wakes up with this mundane power, but then as the power keeps on growing and expanding, they get all this crazy stuff. Definitely. Like that's a good premise.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good idea. But the way I saw it in X-Men Days of Future Past is the guy was literally just a scout.
Wait, he wasn't the Cyclops guy, right?
No. That laser eyes is something entirely different. He was literally just, hey, they're about 3 miles before they get to us. You guys should get ready and stuff to fight.
That gives me the same energy of like the Suicide Squad. Here's the man who could climb anything.
Slipknot, yes.
That's
he didn't even have
hero.
Yeah.
No cap.
And wait, now was he in the newer one or was he just in the 2016 one?
Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch the new one, but I heard the new one's really good.
Yeah,
but the old one, you see, I don't like the movie. I just love it for the memes. Like it's so ridiculous. I'm like, and so poorly written. I'm just like, this is really funny. Like,
yeah,
they literally made him for the purpose of dying.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. And the way they introduced him to was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think he had like 10 lines of dialogue in that movie.
Yeah, I don't think he spoke a lot. They're just like, Slipknot, the man who can climb anything. And then he tried to escape and they just exploded him.
Yeah, so. It's not, like, so he was written off for like very quick comic relief. But yeah, still not, once again, climbing anything, not really a superpower. You're just a really good rock climber.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, okay, that's fair. And then, all right, so we've talked about dumb superpowers. What about cooler ones? And then after this, we'll go into the one I really want to talk about the horrifying implications. But like overall, without any implications, like just at base value, what are some really cool superpowers you've seen?
Definitely like just being like a earthbender, fire. I'm thinking of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Of course, yeah.
That was so cool. Like aside from like technicalities and whatever, just seeing it in action as a kid, I'm like, whoa. Totally. Yeah, I think the one element I really was a big fan of was Earth. Like I
Okay.
saw it at, well, I mean, I guess you could say like, no, that's OP or that's OP because water bending, you can do like blood bending and
Yeah.
all that jazz.
Forgot about that.
I just like earth bending because like, you know, I think it's because Toph made it look so cool and she was like my favorite character. I was
Right.
just like, yeah, being able to form a fist, a rock fist with your fist and punching it.
Yeah.
Greatest thing ever. I guess another cool superpower. Let me think. I did like Wonder Woman, like as a kid, like
Okay.
her ability to, I know she was just like, you could argue she's just a Superman who can't fly, but that's like a very deductive way to, or
Yeah,
reductive way to describe her character.
right. And in recent, like she gained the ability to fly like
Really?
soon after that. Yeah, like
Oh,
like of course she had the invisible jet, of course, but in some mediums I've seen her able to fly.
wow.
And like a lot of the DC animated shows, she was flying on her own. Yeah.
I just really like her origin story because I'm such like a Greek geek.
Yes.
Like I loved reading Greek myths growing up. So finding out that she was like a, you know, a Greek based, or not a Greek based hero, but her backstory was rooted in Greek mythology. Yes. I was like, cool jazz, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool stuff.
Greek mythology has always been my favorite out of all of them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And then Roman is very similar, so like that gets a close second, but like
yeah, it's like looking over your friends.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Let me write all
Can
that
I copy
down.
your homework?
Exactly.
Actually, I don't. I think I read somewhere that the Roman mythology came first. I could be wrong though, but yeah, I think it was Roman first, and then the Greeks came after it, but I don't remember. But like naming it after the planets would make sense, if it came first, and then the Greeks adopted it to like, I guess, literal translations or whatever. Yeah. So either way it worked. They're both pretty cool. And then recently Norse mythology has been grabbing my interest with like Loki, the Thor movies, Loki, the series, stuff like that. But yeah, those also have some kind of cool superpowers. I mean, it's just godhood, but who wouldn't want that?
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely. Some of the ones that I've seen pretty cool, and I'm gonna like, a lot of this stuff is from My Hero. You know My Hero, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of them was the ability to move through shadows, which is really cool.
Was it the bird guy who has the ability to do that?
No, he actually has like a shadow manifestation, which is different. In the most recent season, there's a kid he's a minor character in the other class, and he can literally just like sink into shadows and move around it. It's really cool. And of course, another one that I've seen, Monama's power, which is copy, or the ability to absorb another person's power, which opens up the door to, like, in a world of superheroes, the ability to absorb other powers and like stockpile them, just it makes you the ultimate being.
I think there was like a hero in X-Men who could do that.
Rogue, yes.
Yeah, I remember her. But her arc, it was like horrifying for her because she was just like, I don't know who I am anymore. I think her whole deal was identity crisis. Right. Yes. But I know who you're talking about. I find it interesting that they framed him as like a kind of like sleazy type of like cheater type of guy, from what I remember anyway.
From My Hero, you mean?
Yeah, because he was copying, pasting powers, and I'm sitting here like, no, that's like, that's pretty good. Like, he can, if he plays it right, he can be technically more powerful than all of you guys, but you know, he's a minor character, so there's probably not gonna be much expanded on it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you read the manga. I don't, but I've seen screenshots, and it's like 100 chapters ahead of where the anime is.
Oh yeah.
And so like
the crazy stuff is happening in the manga.
Yeah. So like I'm very interested to see how they get from where they are now in the anime to where they are in the manga when that happens, because like I haven't been able to get like buy the volumes yet, so I'm wherever the anime is where I am in the story. But like the screenshots I've been seeing, stuff gets real.
Yeah, it's like, I guess you could say like an end game type of threat.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, so that's definitely one. And then another one, this is also from the show Heroes, is lie detection.
Oh yeah.
With like 100, I don't know what the accuracy rate was in the show, but like if you can be a human lie detector with 100% accuracy, horrifying implications, because then you know everything somebody is telling you,
Yeah,
whether
I
it's
think
true
I
or
would
lie.
low-key hate that, because then if somebody's lying to my face, I'll just be like, the Kill Bill sirens will go off in my head. I'm gonna look at them like, you're lying.
That's exactly how it was in the show. Whenever somebody
Kill
was
Bill
lying,
sirens went off in their head.
maybe not exactly
That
Kill
would've
Bill
been real
sirens,
funny.
but like they got like a ringing in their head whenever a lie was told.
Oh,
It's very cool. Like the whole show was cool. The show was cool as a whole. I think season 1 had the best story, but some of the things that they built on in the later seasons were also pretty cool, but they just didn't have, like, I guess, the story to hold up with them.
So they were literally a vibe checker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. So yeah, those are the few cool superpowers that I have listed. And you brought this up while we were talking about the show beforehand. You wanted to talk about superpowers with horrifying implications.
Yes. It's probably because I am by nature an overthinker.
Nope, same here.
And I like to sit here to myself like, wow, yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I was looking some of them up, and like some of them are, if you think deep into them, yeah, there's like someone's in a real world, not storybook-esque kind of sense, wouldn't be as cool as you think.
Yeah, and like I don't like, going all like, yeah, this isn't accurate to real life, or to some degree you have to suspend disbelief to be entertained. I guess it's more of like horrifying both as a real life possibility and like horrifying in the superhero universe. I guess both Invincible and The Boys, is that what it's called?
The other Amazon show,
Yeah, The Boys, like they both take that angle of it, and it's just like, wow, that's awful. Yeah, but aside from that, time travel is always going to be my worst superpower.
Yes.
Like I just like really hate the idea of either being able to go back or go forward, because then like how are you ever going to be satisfied?
Right.
Like, and then you're gonna, like, I don't know, abuse it a lot, and like what happens if the power runs out? Then you're gonna be stuck with all your mistakes, or maybe you're gonna be stuck stranded in a different time. I don't know, a lot of like,
no, I know exactly what you're saying. Like 5 from Umbrella Academy.
I need to watch that show.
I only watched the show. I only watched season 1 of the show, actually. But like the whole thing about him is he was stranded for years in like the future, I believe. And then like he somehow, I forget exactly how, but he came back to the present, and he's like, yeah, the world's pretty much gonna explode, and now it falls on me to have to stop this. So there's another horrifying implication.
Yikes. I think another one I randomly just remembered. You remember that Disney special Sky High?
Yes.
Yeah, I love, oh my God. Like, I just love the cheesiness and earnesty of it all. But one scene I remember was somebody like melting. Like, I think the ability to alter your body, like, let's say like Elastigirl, or turning your body into another form or
another state of matter, almost. Yeah,
I hate it. Like, I hate it all over. Like, it's so much body horror.
Yeah,
like I'm just true. Like, they must either have no bones or they are made of complete weird flesh liquid.
That's the thing. You like with body altering powers, especially one where you like can dissipate into liquid. What is it like to feel that?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What happens to your bones, your consciousness, everything? Because I mean, the effects would be horrifying if they included everything. But like when that character, I forget who the character was, but when they dissipate into a puddle, it's literally just goo. It's not like their face is superimposed on it or anything. It's just a puddle. And like, how does that work?
Yeah, I guess, like, I don't know. It could be cool, but I just hate the aesthetics of it.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I don't like thinking about it because I'm like, ew, that's yucky. But I would definitely be down to see, like, if they really play into the body horror angle of it all, like going all Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see like a horror premise like that.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like a villain origin story. So I'm down for something like that. But just as a superpower in general.
Just to have would be.
Yeah.
No.
And also, I guess I just don't like watching the human body contort itself like that. Like, fair. I never liked that stretchy man from Fantastic Four.
Mr. Fantastic, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Fantastic. Elastigirl, you see, she's great. Like,
yeah. Well, there's also, you also have to keep in mind like how good the effects of that superpower would be in superhero mediums. Like Elastigirl is completely animated, so it looks
it
more
looks
acceptable.
pretty good.
Mr. Fantastic from the early, I think it was early 2000s Fantastic Four movies, looks very rubbery. So it also falls into that area
Uncanny
of like
Valley.
Yeah, like this doesn't look real and therefore is horrifying to look at.
Exactly.
So yeah, like a big thing is like technology at the time, but still I can understand like the body horror thing, like even effects or not, would like that would be really weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, understandable. My horrifying implications. Let's see. Well, time travel definitely. I think anyone, if you think about any superpower long and hard enough, you'll find a downside to it. But especially powers you cannot really control, like powers you can't turn on and off.
Oh yeah.
Mostly like mutation powers. So like any of the animal people or any of the animal quirks from My Hero, Froppy, the seal, whose name I forget. Like all that is like, especially growing up, it's probably not easy living with something like that. So like a superpower, if I ever had a superpower, I would want that ability to be like turning it on and off when needed, like having full control of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's a really sad and depressing type of arc to watch
Right.
somebody who can't control it.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, dang, now I just feel bad.
Right. And number one, like the one actual power I have written here is one like that from My Hero. It's decay from Shigaraki. Literally you touch something with all 5 fingers and it's dust.
Yeah, it's I know you haven't gotten far into the manga, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but like he controls it to an extent where it's like, oh no, the environment's decaying around him. Okay. So he's like a walking wasteland.
Yeah.
And like, man, yeah, I really liked his superpower. I know he's a villain, but like that, if you were to ask me what's the coolest thing I've seen, that would be his like quote unquote quirk. Because it's just like, wow, yeah, that's like a really effective way to like kill people and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And it's a good power for a villain.
Yeah.
And like that was the thing about My Hero. I forget if I said it earlier in the show, but like when I started watching My Hero, I'm like, this show has so many powers that I've never even seen or thought of before in other media. And I think that's why I like it so much. It's just so different from what I've been used to with the whole Superman, Flash, Batman, Iron Man, Hulk, yada, 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 yada.
Yeah, it's so diverse. I guess it has its benefits and like cons.
Right.
Because like, half of it, I'm like, yeah, I never thought of it that way. And then the other half, I'm like, really? You're going to give that man like tape arms?
Right. Yeah.
Like some of the character designs,
are ridiculous.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. I know the artist probably had fun designing them.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm also like, man, why can't they be a little bit cooler? Like it.
And furthermore on that, like it's very diverse with stuff like that. And since like what was it? Like 80% of the population in that world has powers, but like a lot of people have really cool powers, but then there's a lot of like minor characters and stuff who get the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Like somebody's power is literally just labeled in the wiki as big horn and they just have a horn and that counts.
Yeah. I guess the way that I see it, it's like, just having that one little special quality about yourself, like a little genetic mutation. It doesn't mean that everybody in that world who has a quirk will automatically be a superhero.
Yeah.
It's more of like, oh yeah, this is like a weird thing about you. But then some of them it's just like literally like life altering, life changing, maybe even life threatening. But
very true. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the premise. But it's just really cool to look at superhero media as a whole. Like outside of Marvel, because there comes a point where the formula becomes tiring for me.
Yeah, I was talking about this beforehand. Like a lot of Marvel, especially the first movies, And when I say first movie, I mean like first movies of a certain hero are always just the copy and pasted villain. Iron Man, Warmonger, Ant-Man, and Yellow Jacket. I had a third example that I can't remember. Well, recently, to an extent, in Shang-Chi. Have you seen it?
Not yet, but I heard it was actually good.
It wasn't bad, but like a big part of the portion is Shang-Chi fights person with very similar powers. They do something toward the end of it, which I personally didn't expect. But yeah, a lot of the movie is like, oh, carbon copy villain.
Yeah, that's what sucks. And what I mean, listen, I hope a lot of Marvel diehard fans aren't listening, but it's just the thing about Marvel, especially in the film adaptations, I don't have a sense of the power balance. It all seems the same to me. Like, I don't have the idea of like, yes, Thor can handle that. Hulk can handle that. It's like, it's just like a lot of like weird situations,
right? I see
where it doesn't seem to be challenged or balanced. It's just there to look cool, at least in my personal opinion. But
yeah, no, to an extent, I think like there are some areas that suffer from that, like the whole power balance, what can one person handle, another sense, like, oh, they were able to handle this in the last movie, but they can't handle this in this one. That doesn't add up. Stuff like that. I see exactly what you're saying, but like I don't think that has anything to do with the superpowers. That's more just the writing of the movies and stuff.
I just wish that they take that more into account when it comes to the writer's room. Because, then you can like really think of the challenges that they have to overcome and all that jazz. But yeah, I don't know. That's just my take.
No, it makes sense, because like something like that is very, I mean, you're talking about 20 plus movies here. They gotta like,
it all blends in together for me, like a smoothie in my mind. I can't tell. Totally. I mean, that's why I say when I watch superhero media, I guess especially when it comes to Marvel, I just turn off my brain and I'm I'm just here to be entertained. I know I'm not watching like, I don't know, like a cinematic classic like Pulp Fiction. This is just me being like having fun.
Of course,
chilling out.
And like that, like you were saying, that's why My Hero is so good. It's got a hint of diversity that, like, I think a lot of Western audiences haven't seen yet. For those who haven't seen it yet, like, it's definitely different from Marvel. I'll say that it's got the same, like, tropes and plot points, hero, villain, yada yada yada, but the way they tackle superpowers is very different. Like, number one, making superpowers a majority thing is definitely not going on in the MCU.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like that little like variation and stuff. It's just really cool to see. And I guess like I just feel like it has more heart on the characters. That's why, I enjoy watching it more. I know I haven't caught up with it, but I do enjoy it more.
I'm a little behind too. So.
But yeah, that's also my take.
And I would guess to an extent, I don't know how much I would consider this a superpower, but like JoJo 2 was very refreshing to see. I mean, it got a little repetitive with its villain of the week format, but I still really like it, especially since they're all named after like classic bands and stuff. And like, as a music nerd,
I feel like there's a whole spectrum of how you can take on the superhero genre, which I kind of appreciate. Like, you could either take the very deeply horrifying angle, like with Invincible and Boys, or you can go camp. Like, going camp is just like
like
so
a more lighthearted angle too.
That's why JoJo. I mean, I haven't watched the entire thing, but I can understand why so many people love it. It's just so crazy that you're like, whoa, I'm like getting caught up in the craziness. I want to see what happens.
It's bizarre because that's the name of it. But like the JoJo has that, like, not so much lighthearted, but like just more of that, like, I don't care mentality. Like, this is happening because I'm saying it's going to happen. And that's the charm of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't feel like, I don't know, you're pulling it out of your butt at one point. It just feels like we are gonna keep on escalating and escalating. I
mean, and I read that. I'll probably close up with this thought, but like that's why there's a split. I haven't read anything. Well, I haven't read anything. I've only seen up to part 5, but I read like there was a split between 6 and 7 where he essentially just restarted the story because everything got so crazy when he reached the end of part 6 that he's like, I can't go further than this. And so he put the story back to stage 1 and started telling a totally new story, which I thought was really cool.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it works, it works.
Yeah,
people
totally.
are still on for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are. And with the announcement of part 6, Stone Ocean, being animated, I think you got a lot more people along for the ride too.
Yeah, it's just the memes quality.
Yeah,
great.
Totally. But with that being said, that is going to bring us to the end of King's Chaos here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And like I mentioned about an hour ago, I will be back with new guests next week to talk about roughly the same thing, because so many people love superpowers and so many people wanted to talk about this. So until next time, stay tuned. I have been Kyle Pepitone with my guest,
Shaina. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, have a great day.